Okay. I know I said yesterday we would start earlier. And I'm a big fat liar because it's 8. But let's go ahead and get started. We know we want to do. Today we're going to be changing our instantiations from being a field in our vulture. So like right now we have a vulture object that gets placed in an array or a table of vultures. So the table index 1 in table vultures is a vulture instantiation, and then we would have a vulture dot egg, which is getting the egg instantiation, and then we have the jockey as an instantiation in that dot egg. So it's vultures dot egg dot jockey. And we decided that that was actually messing up things with the collision detection with a jockey for some reason. I still don't understand why. It's just a nested class problem that I'm not fully understanding. So what we're going to do instead is much like how we populate, much like right here, how we populate our scores table with print score objects. We're going to need to populate our vultures table with vulture objects all in the graveyard. Depending on the wave 1 is 3 objects. Take it out of this init function and do it in the play state. And then we need to initialize all our vulture objects in our vultures table. We need to initialize all our eggs in our eggs table, all at the graveyard. In our eggs table. Then we need all our jockeys initialized in our jockeys table, and then maybe we can start worrying about print score objects and really start to try to debug why sometimes the print score objects are disappearing. They work fine if it's an egg. I can capture 2 eggs and have them pop on screen, and then off screen. Whereas right now, if you collect a jockey, it's on screen, then the second you grab a next jockey, it'll turn off that first one. So hopefully segmenting this will fix that problem. So for now, we need to do just like how maybe instead of 3 we have wave 1 count or something, so that it'll do it. I mean, 3 is fine for now, but and remember, I believe table.insert inserts it at the beginning and pushes everything else back. I don't think it's an append to the end of a table, so we'll have to keep that in mind. So the first vulture that gets instantiated is actually going to be vulture 3. It's vulture. Yeah, let me think about how that works. It'll be put. Yeah, well, actually, yeah, you could do this differently. Instead of a table.insert, we could say scores table at index I gets print score object. That's probably a better way to do it. And then it's linked. Instead of doing the inserting at the beginning of the list, we just hard code it. I is 1, index 1 is this, we'll move it in, then when I is 2, index 2, fill it in. I think that might work better. Maybe we try that and see if the score table initialization is still correct. I'm going to turn on one vulture for us. Actually, I'll just put all 3 of them on. I just want to see if we can do this same thing, just differently. Instead of inserting into our scores table, we'll insert into our scores table at index I, which is the for loop. And it's getting exactly this, a print score in the graveyard object. And this will be backwards because we had to do lowest egg score. Because we have to do the lowest first because it gets pushed. Let me think. Yeah. Lowest egg score gets incremented. Fuck, maybe not. Maybe it does append it. You know, I feel like this... Shoot. Okay, so this one's a little different because... Whereas, for example, if we make an egg, that egg needs to be tethered to the vulture it came from. Because we need to be able to tell what tier system it was, which, yeah, it's a little different with the eggs too, because depending on, you can make eggs in one order, collect them in a different order, and you would get, different points. So like the point dependency is based on which order you collect the eggs. So I might keep this stuff as it is, now that I think about it. Because I don't want to mess with the egg score for when we're, shoot. God dang, okay. God dang, okay. So, if we're wave 1, we're gonna do something similar, saying if not tables populated, then let's populate tables. So we'll need a tables populated as false. In our init, and then we'll say if we're not populated, and this is why I wanted to make this a variable, because it's going to be a 3, because we need the same amount of print score objects as we do vultures, as we do eggs, as we do jockeys ultimately. So we're going to say if not tables populated, then we're going to say, let's do eggs first, right? We need a table. We need a table of eggs. Just like we gave ourselves a table of vultures, we'll give ourselves an empty table of eggs. We'll give ourselves an empty table of jockeys. Now we're saying for is 1, 3, do, and what you're going to do is put an egg instantiation into our eggs table at the ith index. So if we take a look at our egg, and the thing is we want the index, we need to add the index field, right? Keep track of what index our jockey or our egg belonged to. When do we instantiate an egg? It's upon a collision, but it's under player vulture collision. We instantiate an egg. No, it isn't. Where do we do that? We do it with egg spawn, we just set the flag. Oh god, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have to change all this logic. Yeah, we're gonna have to change all this logic. Oh god, it's gonna be a mess, guys. Look at all of these vulture.eggs we're gonna have to change. Oh my god. I think in our vulture is where we instantiate an egg Yeah, if egg spawn, we give ourselves the egg. So we just want to put it in the graveyard for now, but we want to say, and you know what? Yeah, egg, we need an index. And we're going to say our self.index gets our index parameter. And I believe we figured out in one of these episodes that these are optional parameters. So if we leave out the last index, it won't crash anything, it just won't assign it. So if we look at in our vulture, we can say, okay, yeah, it's not going to do the index. So we're going to have to do this differently. Oh, see, and then, so instead of the egg being in our vulture logic, we're going to have to move it out. We're going to have to say if our egg spawn, and this is one good reason about, instead of doing egg spawn, now that we had egg spawn so that our play state could trigger a boolean that would then get updated in our update. That would spawn this egg because of that boolean. But now we have to move this into our play state. So instead of triggering the boolean egg spawn to become true, we would actually just put the real egg logic in at that point instead of doing this boolean stuff, which I'm a little torn about because it's, on one end, it makes it less data for this to check, but it muddies up our play state, Dude, that's gonna be this whole thing I'm trying to do is gonna be the biggest refactoring I've ever had to do in a project. Because we got so many different things. They all talk to each other, and we're changing how they talk to each other. How the classes talk to the play state and all that good stuff. And it might not even work. But we gotta try it. Where do we even start, man? Well, we're gonna say an egg graveyard can be a -10 on the x, -10 on the y. Dx will inherit the dx of the pterodactyl that was just killed, or the ostrich that was just killed. But this is just populating it in the beginning, so our dx can be 0, and our index would be I. So that should give us a fully populated list of egg objects in our egg table. And then we're going to say at the very end of this, tables populated now gets true. And what that'll do is ensure that these only get ran once at the beginning of wave 1, because we're never setting tables populated back to false. It just initializes it, and then we flip it right here at the end. So we can put in our jockeys as well, I'm thinking. And the thing is, we need to do our vultures as well. So we can do that. Jockeys get a jockey instantiation. And if we take a look at our jockey class, we only have an X and a Y. We can add in an index for us. And that index is going to be set to a field of the same name. So the parameter is getting moved into a field of that jockey of the same name. And then we'll say jockey, graveyard, -20 at the ith index. And then We need vultures. I'm going to add this egg table actually has an S in it. And our jockey table has an S in it as well. And our vultures table has an S in it. So we'll say vultures at ith index get assigned a vulture at, at the dummy values. So we're saying vulture instantiation, x, y with height, dx. No, platform spawn y, which I might need to factor, every time I pass, or every time I'm using this, it's the same as y, because I'm actually passing in the platform y as the spawn point. So I might be able to just take that out completely. But we need, this is, look at this. So yeah, okay. So yeah, the fifth argument is platform spawn, which, exactly what I just said. Anytime I do it, I'm actually using the same exact y, so I can probably just factor that out. Or I can instead say this is no longer a parameter, but it is still a field, but that field gets assigned whatever the y is as well. So we can either do that or take it out completely, but yeah, I don't know. XY with height, platform y spawn, which this should actually be -20 for that exact reason. And then index, which is not 1, but it's I. The I of our for loop. Okay. I'm really daunted by this task of what we're trying to do here. At least we've got, ideally, for wave 1, we've got our vultures table, our egg table, and our jockeys table all populated with graveyard values. And we have to do that for the reason of debugging, because if the eggs don't exist until the vultures exploded, but if we try to render any debugging for eggs, as soon as Lua realizes there's no egg existing, it'll just crash. So we have to give it those dummy values. Shoot, man, shoot. I'm just like terrified to start doing this. So we would still do something like this, where we would say, the vulture, this is the vulture that's overriding our, dummy vulture at index 1, because right now our index 1 has the dummy values right here. We're saying vulture 1 gets moved into that vultures 1 table, and vulture 1 is the variable that's holding that instantiation. And remember I said the y here, see how it's spawn points table at index vulture spawn point index, Jesus Christ, dot y. That's the exact platform spawn y we pass in, so that's why I'm thinking we should just take that out, because those are always going to be the same. We're not going to, the spawn point is the y of the platform spawn point. Yeah, we need to take that out eventually. I guess I'll just write a note of that. I just don't want to do it right now because it feels like I don't want to have a side quest inside of a side quest, I'll just make a note of it, and then we'll come back to it. Factor out the platform spawn y parameter in our vulture class. And then feeling so thrilled to get all this stuff done, man. And I'm just stressed out with work. I've got way too many projects and due dates, and I'm just stressed out. Honestly, this is just too daunting for me right now. I need a fresh brain, just like I said yesterday. I need a fresh brain, and I didn't give myself the chance to code earlier, and I've still got work to do today, so I think I'm just going to call it a super short day, and at least we've got, hopefully our tables now populated. We updated our classes to include indexes so that we can keep track. If we kill vulture 2, that would spawn an egg 2 at vulture 2's x and y with its dx, all that kind of good stuff. Because now we can check for that I, and then we've got dummy values, for all of our tables of our objects now. Yeah, fuck. I'm a little bummed I just didn't get more done today, but the name of the game is program every day, even if it's 5 minutes. It's not to make huge significant updates, so I'm glad I programmed. I'm gonna get at everything to the staging area. I think it's good hygiene to text or to check the git diff anything. So we added index in our egg class, added index in our jockey class. We gave ourselves tables for eggs and jockeys. We give ourselves a table populated field, and then we populate our tables with all our object instantiations in our first frame of our play state. Okay. Git add everything to the staging area with a commit message saying started to add all objects into separate tables, and populate initially with dummy values. Yep. And then, hopefully tomorrow we're going to get some more substantial stuff done today. I've been drowning in work lately, but it's okay. I was working on work all day today, and then it saps me of my energy, man. It's okay. We're keeping our streak, even if it's just a little bit. We got a game plan to tackle it. We know, if we take a look at any time we do a vulture.egg, we need to change that. So there's 58 matches for that. So instead of vulture.egg update, we need to update every egg. And then instead of all of the collision based on the vulture egg, we need to collide with our eggs inside our eggs table. Fuck. Yeah, we have to redo. Goddamn. Because right here, since we had our egg as a field in our vulture, all we did was cycle through all our vultures and then cycle through all our vulture.eggs and see if it's colliding. But what we need to do now is just say cycle through all the eggs, check for the egg collision there. So actually it's probably better that way. So it probably is a good idea to do that, but instead of vulture.egg getting the new values, we would say egg at index I of our for loop. would be getting all the values. But then we need to see, yeah, where we need to move out. We need to move out our egg spawning, take out that boolean of egg spawn, and move it out to our play state. And then, oh my god, it's just so much. I'm getting like a headache thinking about it. Yeah, we need to move this. Because the egg no longer gets spawned inside a vulture class. It now gets spawned in the play state. And we go through the for loop and we say, instead of egg spawn getting true, where do we even say that? Right here. God damn. Oh, god damn, okay. So yeah. Okay. So upon a vulture explosion, we say, hey, if it's the first frame that's exploded, give us that egg instantiation. So we need to move our... Yeah, we need to move this logic into here in our play state. And then we can get rid of egg spawn. Like I said, we can get rid of egg spawn because now it's in the same function. So it kind of tidies it up on that front, but it muddies it. Yeah, I don't know. It's all about trade-offs. But yeah, holy crap. It's almost like I feel like we should write a function called toGraveyard. And instead of saying the vulture X, vulture Y, both get -20, we just say vulture : toGraveyard. And it changes that vulture's X and Y to -20. Just to kind of tidy it up, because we got to move all kinds of shit to the graveyard. You know, anytime there's a collision with something, we need to move it to the graveyard, basically. We need to move something to the graveyard. Unless it's, you know, Y's are equal on our player and vulture collision. Holy shit. This teaches you a lot about a game, man. I'll tell you that much. Our playstate's going to be a lot of lines. Our ostrich class, Jesus, is 600 lines. Playstate class is basically 600 lines. Yeah. We already did our commit. We coded for the day. It wasn't big, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. And I'll see you tomorrow with hopefully a better attitude or energy levels or something. I don't know. We'll get more done tomorrow. Yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow.